Alright, y'all, so we got another video. Today, we got another video. We talk about today, as we talk about progression, making our way to progress. Right? Things done. One thing I think that we always got to be able to take into consideration when we get to it. Number one, how do you take one thing from one process? How do you take about being able to take scientific information, scientific theory, right? Equations, right? Being able to put scientific equations and formulas, being able to sort of mix, synthesize those equations in those formulas and tie them to scientific details. Alright, so I'm tied to scientific information. If you can tie those scientific information, or rather, I'll say this, right? Taking the different sort of densities and angles, right? That you learn from equations, learn from formulas, right? You take these angles, right? And you take the different formulas, patterns that these angles have, right? And you take the patterns that these angles have, and you take the patterns of them, you take those formulas that you study from these patterns that they have, and you sort of create create a formula out of the patterns that you observe and study, you know what I'm saying, that they have, right? And from these coordinates, right, that you learn from the patterns, that you learn from these sort of systems, right? Especially, then you can go ahead and create systems, you know what I'm saying, that you can utilize, you know, to like make a proper work, put together right? Even to put together a process, or to put together a program, right? That's what we're talking about today. This is how do you put together a program? How do you put together something, a system? Put together from the different patterns that you study, observe, analyze, and taking the different patterns that you analyze and observe as documents, as formula, and taking those formulas and creating product, right? And creating product, right? So now product is created from these patterns and these sort of formulas and these different sort of observed, analyzed, and surveyed and sort of recorded patterns. You can go create something, right? A product. And when you create the product, understanding that the pattern that you observe and watch right, have a specific detail to it. There's something you're analyzing within these patterns in order to create products, right? Or this product, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So you take a pattern, you take a process, and you sort of chemicalize it with another pattern on top, right? They're taking multiple different patterns and we're applying them, putting them together to real scientific details. If not scientific details, real things, right? Scientific things, right? And we're applying them to scientific things. So when you apply patterns, apply patterns and formula to scientific things or details or just things period, right? If you apply a pattern to things, then you will have either recourse by mix or we sort of made a product, right? You may have sort of branched off or sort of made some sort of alternate product, right? Or another product that was based off the original thing, right? And you took the whole thing and applied patterns and formulas to this thing. And you created something different on this product, right? This product, this thing, right? Whatever this product was, it's made by something, right? It was made from something. And since it was made from something, that means if you apply patterns and formula to that something, right? Or those some things that made this product, right? Or we apply pattern and formula to this thing. Now you can create a new or different product that can serve you by exercising the formula or by exercising this formula that is so needed, right? So, the formula you observe that you want to have, that you want to incorporate what you're running, you incorporate it into the product, and then the product now, can sort of produce this pattern or this formula, right? And there you go, right? So, you know what I'm saying? So, changing or altering the nature of a product, right? Or not the nature of a product, but the pattern of a product in order to expedite a formula, right? So, that is what you're doing. And if that is what you're doing, trying to expedite a formula, right? Or changing the pattern of a product, so that you can expedite a formula, right? Or use a formula, right? Or the more that better. Yeah, you know what's wrong. The sort of, you know what I'm saying? Work with a formula. Then you can work that formula, right? So then it would be a matter of packaging the product, alright? Packaging the product. And if you can sort of package that product, then that's going to be the good thing to do, right? So that's important, right? That's important, right? And if you can do that, you're looking pretty good, doing good things. So that's what's going to be important. And the next thing beyond that is going to be taking a product from scratch, right? Taking a product from scratch. Or you take a scratch of things, right? You're taking scratch. And from these scratch, you're applying formulas. And you're to these scratch, these details, right? You know these details lead to something, right? You know what I'm saying? They all have an effect. One thing affects this and one thing affects that. You know what I'm saying? And with these details, right, you can apply patterns and you can apply formulas to these details to have them work for you in a specific way. Then when you have these details sort of pattern, sort of formulating on one in a specific way, then you sort of give it some sort of package, right? Give it a package, give it a label, right? Or you know what I'm saying? Then you can give it some sort of you know what I mean? And that's going to be the important thing, right? You know, when you take product, or when you take details of components, right? When you sort of right? Then that's the important thing, right? By taking the products and these details of how these things work, you know what I'm saying? And then from how these things work, taking them and how they work and putting them together and have them patterning and functioning in a specific way, that way that you can be able to have a function there, right? Now, the key to this right here is sometimes, man, like when you have them all together and you have things sort of formulated and working in a specific way, right? You know what I'm saying? Then the one thing you have to understand is like the thing I'm starting to realize is you may not know how it will come together, but it's going to function somehow, right? You may not know how it is going to look at the end, right? Because you're not taking from a product that's already been created, right? You're not taking from a product, an established product. You're taking from components, scraps, right? Pieces, right? You're taking from components. So, you know what I'm saying? As you take from these separate components, you can sort of have them function in a specific way. And from them functioning in a specific way, then you can sort of get a benefit out of these patterns. So that's the important thing about patterns. That's the important thing about this sort of thing. And the other important thing is to know how to take this stuff right here that people look over. You know what I'm saying? And people don't necessarily it's put this thing right here, and to sort of and to sort of say, okay, you know, I'm right here with it, right? I'm package. You know what I'm saying? After you get the sort of the components of the product, right? That's the important thing to know. That's what we really want to express and talk about in this video. Exercising that thought of just being able to create something from how it functions, how that thing functions, being able to tie it into another pattern or another formula, right? That you've observed and that you've analyzed and done the feeling of, taking that formula and those patterns, and then being able to create sort of measure and mesmerize a sort of fluctuating system, right? The product. So that's the important thing we wanted to, you know, talk about in this video right here. I think we made our point pretty good and pretty clear, and what we wanted to talk about. So peace, love, and yeah, that's my conclusions right here. We got